And like I say, I want to go ahead and also touch up on the actual anti-Semitic bill they're trying to pass here in the state of Florida as well too. You can't get that. They won't do that here. They won't do that for black people in this country. They no matter what. So we just got to go ahead and try to tie the two together. If we had an anti-black bill, because you don't see Jewish people, you don't see Asian people, you don't see the LGBTQ getting their heads beat in and getting killed by cops the way you see black people as well too. And I also thought that with Joe Biden, his comment about trying to peaceful protests and then talking about the what goes on with the black, and he managed to throw brown communities there as well too. So I thought that was a little bit not genuine to say the least, because this was a black man that just lost his life. You're not seeing the amount of Hispanic people get beat up by the cops that you see black people get as well too. So I just found that to be a little bit, not authentic to say the least. So I want to go ahead, y'all, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna touch up on both of these here. You guys want to go ahead, then by all means raise your hand. You can go ahead and come up here and comment, speak. I'm hoping to get some good dialogue tonight. We had some pretty powerful spaces this past week. For you guys that missed it, it's on YouTube and it's also on Twitter. You guys can go ahead and catch up on those spaces if you missed it this week. So let me go ahead, and I want to go ahead and lead off, of course, with the most important story. We're only going to cover two topics in the day, but I want to go ahead and definitely have to jump into this Tyre Nichols body cam footage, and it was awful. His mother said, if you have kids and stuff, make sure you don't let them see that, because it was that bad. It was that bad. So if you guys have young kids, if you have teenagers, that's one thing. But if you have young kids, maybe under the age of 12, maybe you may want to think twice about them actually viewing that actual footage. It was pretty rough to look at, pretty hard to keep your food down, pretty hard to digest. It was just completely awful. I know it invoked memories for those of us that was old enough to remember the Rodney King situation. And for people who was probably even older, even though they didn't see the actual violence that took place at Emmett Till, but when you saw the brother's face just sitting up there in that hospital, you knew that he had been through the ringer. So let me go ahead and get to that story. And we will also cover the anti-Semitic bill as well, too, that Florida's trying to pass. Is getting bipartisan support. Not strange that you had a Republican. Strange enough, you had a Republican that actually came up with the actual bill and is getting all kind of support here in Florida. So I don't expect it to take long before they actually pass that. So we can pass all kind of bills for protection for other classes and stuff like that. But the ones who constantly need it, the people who get hit with the most hate crimes, the people that get hit with the most police brutalities, they're not getting any kind of protection out here. And nobody wants to speak about it. Nobody's going to go up there and create one of these bills or whatever. You're on our own. So it's time to start holding these black congressmen accountable. We got to go ahead and start holding these black people accountable. And these police officers that went ahead and did this were a complete disgrace. So let me go ahead, y'all, and just touch up on this article real quick. It's also up there in the Jumbotron for my people that's on YouTube. I know right now don't have many people up there, but the actual articles are in the description as well, too. So let me go ahead and touch up on this real quick, y'all. This is from the Atlanta Black Star, curator on the Newstoter.com platform. It's titled "Protesters Demand the End of Police Terror as Tyre Nichols footage sparks rage in metro cities across the nation." Protests spurred by the police killing of Tyre Nichols erupted in Memphis, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and New York City on Friday night after the Memphis Police Department released footage of the nearly 4-minute beating of a black man. Beat this man for almost 4 minutes. As Memphis city officials announced their plan to release their footage amid mounting pressure Thursday, state and local officials across the country prepared for possible havoc. Attorneys for Nichols' family compared the case to the 1991 police killing of Rodney King, which led to civil arrests in Los Angeles. More than 200 protesters in Memphis took over Interstate 55 bridge near downtown Memphis, chanting the slain man's name. More than 100 people flocked to Times Square where tensions boiled over, leading to arrests as demonstrators bumped heads with police, jumped up patrol cars. The crowds in each city held signs demanding the end of police terror. Nichols, 29, died on June 10th in Memphis, Tennessee, 3 days after being detained at a traffic stop by police. He was violently beaten by 5 police officers after he fled police on foot. The 5 police officers violently beat and pepper sprayed Nichols before he complained of shortness of breath and was taken to the hospital, where he died 3 days later. A picture of him on life support before he died went viral on social media. The officers violated multiple department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid, according to the statement from the Memphis Police Department. Tadadius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justice Smith were all fired and charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault. They were also charged with 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of official misconduct, and official oppression on January 26. Officials said they expect a nationwide protest following the release of the video. Nichols' mother, Rovon Wells, said the video of her son's death is horrific and hoped people would honor her son by protesting peacefully upon viewing the body cam footage. Wells also encouraged mothers not to allow their children to watch the disturbing video. When that tape comes out Friday, it's going to be horrific, she said, but I want each and every one of you to protest in peace. If you guys are here for me and Tyre, then you will protest peacefully. And any of you who have children, please don't let them see it, she added. I want to say to the 5 police officers that murdered my son, you also disgraced your own families when you did this. I'm going to pray for you and your families. President Biden also spoke with the family ahead of the video's release. Biden also released a statement noting his outrage. Like so many, I was outraged and deeply pained to see the horrific video of the beating that resulted in Tyre Nichols' death. He wrote it as yet another painful reminder of the profound fear and trauma, the pain and exhaustion that Black and brown Americans experience every single day. Black people, it just couldn't be about a Black man who just got killed and lost his life, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to interject other people into this as well. So New York Mayor Eric Adams told Politico that he had been in contact with several mayors nationwide in the White House in preparation for the anticipated protests. The mayor, a former law enforcement official, said that he felt betrayed by the officers and echoed Nichols' mother's wishes for peaceful protests and or NYPD to exercise restraint. Key word. Let's see if the NYPD actually takes his advice and actually exercise restraint here. My message to New York is to respect the wishes of Mr. Nichols' mother. If you need to express your anger and outrage, do so peacefully, he said. My message to the NYPD has been and will continue to be exercise restraint. As the protests began in New York, Grand Central Station was shut down. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland condemned the officers' action in his weekly letter to the community. Since learning of this tragic event, transparency and swift, methodical action have been our top priorities because the family of Mr. Nichols and our citizens deserve nothing less, he wrote. The actions of these officers were awful, and no one, including law enforcement, is above the law. I assure you, we will do everything we can to keep this type of heinous act from happening again. Businesses in Memphis were preparing for the protest by boarding up doors and windows shortly after protests began in the city. I-55 had to shut down as protesters headed to Main Street. The city of Los Angeles also released a statement in preparation for expected protests calling for unity and peaceful demonstrations following the video's release. Portland, Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. also took precautions. So everybody was sitting out here, and everybody's sitting up here trying to make sure that their city's going to be safe. They know that the actual kind of kickback that's possible would come from this. The mother, she's calling for peaceful protests as well, too. Just a tragedy to have to actually watch your son being killed, beaten like a pinata. And like I say, that was actual in the other space about 3-4 nights ago. We had this, we was talking about it, and it was titled, you know, I don't know if it was Atlanta Black Star or Black Enterprise, but one of them actually had the actual title of the actual article was he was beaten like a pinata, and I believe that one of his attorneys actually made that statement. So this is just a tragedy. It was very hard to watch, very hard to swallow, but it's not anything new. Joe Biden, he could have just went ahead and kept it as Black people, but he felt the need to go ahead and put brown people in there as well too. I don't see brown people getting beat the way Black people get beat in this country. I'm not trying to say that Hispanics don't get hit with police violence and police brutality, but nobody gets hit with at the clip that Black people, especially Black men, get hit with it at. So on a day where you know, when this footage was being released, you know, no matter what we go through in this country, whether we're successful at something or we're hitting an all-time low at our worst point, we always have to share this with somebody else. It couldn't couldn't be our pain. It had to be somebody else's pain. This wasn't about Black and brown communities. This is about Black communities. Plain and simple. This is what black communities have been going through ever since the police department has been created in this country. No other community has had the kind of violence against them from the police force that black people had. To make matters worse, you had 5 black men that set up there and that did this as well too. So there's no excuse for the way that these black guys behave. But I will say they were swift with the punishment. They didn't take any time. There was no police leave. There was no let us go ahead and review the information. We're investigating. We'll get back to you. It's like, nah. They was fired immediately. They was charged. They getting hit with multiple counts. So it was no take no time. They weren't put on paid leave like most of these white guys are, and it didn't stall and this and that. They went ahead and they got things done immediately. It was no let us see, let us figure it out. We're putting our heads together. We got our think tank here. We're not exactly sure. We'll get back to you. Let's see what the coroner say. Let's make sure that he wasn't high off of dope and this and that or whatever. Let's go ahead and do a rundown on what he did as a juvenile. Let's see if his mother and father, if his daddy was a deadbeat, he was a crackhead. It was none of this other stuff. It's like, hey, we're going to get to the point right here, right now. You niggas, y'all are fired. So the same way that you're able to go ahead and get these black cops off the street, you're able to go ahead and charge them. You're able to go ahead and fire them. And you pretty much, they're going to be ruined for life. It should be no excuse any other time. And in plain sight, we got all kind of footage of white cops wailing on black folks. I don't want to hear all of this delay. I don't want to hear all of, well, we can't do this. We can't do this. We got to see about this. We got to worry about their protection. Oh, they have the police association backing them. We got to go ahead and make sure we don't infringe on their rights and this and that. No, you take that same swift action that you just took in this case right here. You don't sit back. You don't delay. You don't wait, because the evidence was overwhelming. There was nothing to go ahead and investigate. We saw it firsthand. So all this other stuff talking about you got to wait till the toxicology reports come back and make sure this nigga wasn't on PCP and he didn't have superhuman strength like a gorilla and all this other nonsense. No, you go right ahead on and you do the same way you did with this black trash. You make sure you take this other trailer trash, this trailer white trash off the streets, the same way you took this black trash off the streets. You went ahead and you charged them. Ray, you got it. Go ahead.
What's going on, everybody? Seems like every couple of years, man, we deal with the same thing, man. It's just really sad. I understand nothing I say in the space is going to change it, man, but at the same time, man, when's enough going to be enough? I'm sick of seeing how people get beat, man. But this is just ridiculous. Like, how many more? How many bodies have to be sacrificed? And I really hate that. Maybe I misheard you, but I heard, so I'm going to say this. I heard you say that the mother was saying, we need to be peaceful. We need to be peaceful. I didn't hear her say anything about any justice. Maybe I might have missed that, but that's just from what I heard. It's just very sad, man. I land there.
Let me give a shout out to my girl Diane over there on YouTube. How you doing, Miss Diane? Glad to see you over there, sweetie. Ray, she did say if you're gonna do the protest, she did ask for peace. You gotta also let's just sympathize with the mother, empathize with her for a little bit, because she, in her mind state, she probably don't want to see any other black people get killed out there. That's her mind state at this point. She like, look, you saw what they did to my son. I'm sure this sister wants justice, but at the same time, she emotionally, and you know how it is. We all know how it is to lose a loved one. She's wrecked, and to actually see the actual loved one, to see the actual footage that actually killed them, to see what this person went through the last few hours, a few days, and he held on for a couple of days later, how much pain he had to be to come up to the hospital and to see your child's face bashed in, looking like ground chuck, just completely bashed in. We just got to kind of, a little bit just pray for that mother. I know she wants justice, but at the same time, she doesn't want to see a bunch of other black guys go out here, and women as well, and go out here and knowing that these cops, this is at the hand of black cops right here too. So knowing that these other cops will go out here and put a bullet in them and kill them just as quick and fast as well too. So I think what she's trying to say, just for the sake, and I don't want to put words in the sister's mouth, but I think she doesn't want to see any more black people getting killed out here at the hands of police officers. So I think that's just my interpretation. I could be wrong because she's not in here to actually say exactly, but like I say, I was more upset with Joe Biden sitting up here talking about the black and brown and this and that. Like, and you say every couple of years. No, man, You see how much stuff I'm tweeting out daily and stuff. Every month or so in this country, black men are getting their heads reined in by these cops or something. They're getting shot. They're getting killed. They're getting their heads beaten. It's happening every damn month that we see. And who knows all the other stuff that's not being reported, that the media is not catching, So this was caught on body cam footage, luckily. But what about the ones, because all these cops ain't turning on the body cam. I don't care what they say. They can talk about this required and this and that, but all these cops ain't turning on that body cam. So this is just what we see. Ray, you want to say something real quick before I kick it to Lloyd and original?
Nah, man, go ahead, man. Let people talk.
Okay. And I'm Black. I know you had your hand up, so if you want to speak, just go ahead and put it back up. We'll get to PJ as well too. Lloyd, how you doing today? You there, Lloyd?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Hey, Toad, how you doing? I had myself on mute. How y'all doing? I'm pretty much like very somber. What I'm about to say, some people are going to be hurt by it, but it has to be said. When we talk about justice for Tyre, there is no justice for Tyre. He's dead. There ain't nothing you could do to fix that. He's dead. This is not for him. This is for us. And we need to recognize that. Funerals are not for the dead, they're for the living. And what I think that our focus needs to become, like Ben Crump has been saying, we have a blueprint now. What they did in the past, we cannot focus on. We can do the next time they beat one. No, this is the way this is going to be done, or else we will begin to tear things up. Because same thing, if you look at Ahmaud Arbery, nothing was happening in Ahmaud Arbery's case until those protesters did not go to City Hall. They didn't go to the police department. They didn't go to the Capitol. They went straight to the perpetrator's house. And basically, the image was either you come and get them, or we're going to go get them. And now all of a sudden, with it stopped being weeks and years and years and years for these cops to get indicted, it started happening within weeks. So that's progress, and we need to build on that progress. What we got here, even though the officers were black, we now have a blueprint for how these things should be handled. And we need to build on that and not lose the fact that we have made progress. That being said, the other thing the trap that I don't want to fall into is going after those officers. Because, we got them and they did this. But what nobody's looking at is that Scorpion unit. We really need to be talking about that Scorpion unit, because basically what you're telling me is, not you, but they're telling us is we set up this unit for our officers to our neighborhood, and just, if you're driving down the street, stop you, yank you out of your car, and beat you senseless. Because I will bet you there are at least 200 or 300 cases that never were never reported. That Scorpion unit was doing because to do. And I was watching somebody, and she's an activist, and she was saying there is a difference between serving and protecting and policing. Police.
You there, Lloyd? Because you seem like you're having some connection issues.
Okay. Did you hear the part about policing versus serving and protecting?
I didn't hear that part because you started breaking up. You've been breaking up a little bit here and there, but go ahead and say it for us.
Okay, so there's a difference. Serve and protect means that if you're in trouble, I come and help you. Policing means I control your behavior. Our neighborhoods get policed, and they've even got us to buy into it. Like, I sit on the community policing board. Well, yeah, you're sitting on the board that oppresses us. And we never thought about it. You see what I'm saying? And so we cannot let the Scorpion unit just be left alone until this blows over, and then they go back and start doing it again. So those are the two things that I think are very, very important that we do, is to, number one, see the progress that we've made in the last 5 years and hold their feet to that fire. Two, we need to look in that Scorpion unit and units like it across the country. And I'll land there.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you. And I'm in agreement with you. There's a blueprint now, and that's what I was saying as well too. There's no more excuses about the delay and everything else when it comes to getting these cops charged. If you're seeing on video like that doing what these cops did, we don't want to hear anything else. You want to go ahead and as swift as you guys just acted in this case right here. This now is the new norm. You have to act that swift as well too. If it was 5 white cops out there beating on him like that, they're supposed to get the exact same treatment as these 5 cops said. We don't want to hear about no delay in this, the toxicology reports, the autopsy, none of this other kind of stuff right here. You're not going to be doing background checks on his family and what he did in the 3rd grade and all this other stuff. The same way you were able to act swiftly and decisively in this situation right here, you're going to do the same thing when it comes to these white cops. There's many of them that's getting away with the same stuff, and it takes 2 years to go to court and before they charge and this and that. And they still collecting they're still on paid leave and all this other nonsense as well too. So no, you're gonna do the same thing. You have any hesitation doing that, go ahead and do the same thing. Everybody in the space, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and tweet the space out as well too. Please go ahead and tweet the space out. Original, you got to go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. You know, I'm pissed off, and like you said, Newstoter, we got to start pushing back on these dumbass fools like Jim Crow Joe. I am sick and tired we have the most unique culture and unique experience in this country than any other group. And I'm damn sick and tired of every time something happens with us, they want to attach somebody. It's as if they want to attach another group in with us. No, we're tired of that. When they do stuff for them, we're not included. And when the brother said that about this Scorpion unit, see, they had a unit like this here in Atlanta. It was called the Red Dogs, and those are the ones who murdered Miss Catherine Johnson in her house, and then they staged the crime scene saying that she shot at them, and she did that. They shot and killed her before, and she was dead. They put the gun in her hand, and see, but they do this, and then you see all these people like the pimps. The agent pimps like Al Sharpton and others. They coming out here, and they don't represent us. And I think we are going to have to organize ourselves in a way to where we push them and let the people know that. Let them know exactly who they are. We got to start showing people that Al Sharpton does not represent black people. He represents white people, and he should not be allowed to speak in any forum regarding black people because he doesn't represent us. And I think until we begin to push things in that manner, this may get worse. And now I want you to look at when what was that? Okay, with the Asian hate crime bill, everybody saw how Democrats and Republicans, all of them came together passing Asian hate crime bill. But yet, black people, we still sitting up here defenseless, can't get a damn thing passed for us, and we're the one that's being massacred out here. Yeah, we getting attacked from law enforcement, we getting attacked from other groups. There ain't nobody standing up for us. And then for those of us, when we do defend ourselves, then we get blamed for attacking the fools that are attacking us. And that right there has to stop. So until we organize, we're gonna have to organize ourselves in a way to whereby we're gonna have to put a stop to this ourselves, because see, we have not been able to gather in this manner before, because it was always people gathered in the different states. But see, now with the advent of the internet, we're able to gather and organize in a manner to whereby we can whatever is agreed to in a space like this, we can go and communicate with people in our cities and states and try to get some stuff rolling. That's what it's going to have to take, because these people here, we cannot trust Al Sharpton. Hell, I don't trust Ben Crump. You know, Tamir Rice's mother, she said that Ben Crump, I don't know what she told them, but it was something, he wasn't she felt that he wasn't representing her issue properly, and said that Ben Crump told her angry mothers don't get checks. Man, go fuck yourself. If something happened, I wouldn't call him to represent me for nothing. How are you going to tell a grieving mother someone killed her baby point blank, and you're going to tell angry mothers don't get checks? You need to sit your stink ass down. I mean, it really just pissed me the hell off, because I'm pissed off right now. I don't know about anybody, but I mean, the way they murdered that brother. He was in his car. He said, "What's going on?" They approached this brother like, "Get your motherfucking get up." I mean, that's how they came at him. And that brother was running for his life. They started beating him before they got him out of the car. You know, that brother was running for his life. And then they're sitting up there like a dumbass fools. And, you know, and the way one of them was just beating it, I couldn't watch it. I just had to quit watching. And you see these little news outlets, they just keep playing it. Oh, I mean, stop playing that. I don't care. Stop playing the video, because if I'm watching the news channel, I just have to mute it or change the channel to something else. I don't need to see that again. Once was enough. But see, that's part of the exploitation factor, whereby they're gonna use our pain and suffering to pass a bill to protect others, as you talked about this anti-Semitism bill down in Florida. You know, and what's interesting, we was having a conversation in DJ space. So this one person said something about white folks in Hollywood. I said, "Excuse me, but which specific group of white people are you talking about?" I had to pull it out of them to make them say Jew, because a lot of people are scared to say, "Well, the Jew, yeah, they do stuff to us too." So we, as Dr. Clark said, we don't have any friends. We have no friends. All we have are ourselves. And damn it, it's time for us to organize ourselves and get, as Soul Brother Number One said, get on the good foot, and we got to make things happen for ourselves. We can't trust Al Sharpton. The NAACP is controlled by Jews. Urban League controlled by white folks, possibly Jews. None of these black groups out there who claim to have the best interests of black folks at hand, they are controlled by people outside of the race. So if you can't fund yourself to do for us, you're not any good. So that's how I just want to say, I'm really pissed off, and I'm still angry. But the way they treated, you wouldn't, if they had beat a dog like that, they would probably, I don't know if they gave them bail, they would be in jail without bail. And you see these old dumbass people like Jim Crow Joe, he just pisses me off. He needs to take his old stink ass somewhere and sit down, because he's not. And let's look at this. Now, he promised the George Floyd some kind of police reform. He failed on that. Anything, and see, and during the primaries now, when this piece of crap was running for the White House, he pretended to be supporting reparation. Then, when it was known he was going to be the nominee, he reneged and say here we go again now. He reneged and said he will only support reparations if the so-called Indians are included. Well, hell, they got their reparations back in the 90s. Stop attaching other people to our pain and suffering. They do not belong there. They need to cut that out like now. So I'm gonna land with that, because I'm really pissed off right now. I really am, and I'm gonna land with that.
And I feel your original. That's why I say I'm also going to touch up on that anti-Semitic bill that's getting bipartisan agreement and support here in Florida, that they're going to go ahead and pass and whatnot. And you also it was actually you had a Republican that came up with it. So it's funny when it's time to help other groups and stuff, you can get bipartisan agreement on it. Now come up with something for black people, and we just don't have the votes, we just don't have the numbers, and this and that or whatever. But And the Jewish population is small here in Florida. Most of the Jewish population lives in South Florida, in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, those areas. That's where most of your Jewish population in Florida resides. But they're saying that we had such a rise in Jewish crimes and stuff over the past 6 months that we got to go ahead and we got to do something about it. So I'm going to touch up on that and try to tie it to this as well too, because you're not going to see a Jewish man get his head beat in by the cops the way you'll see a black person get his head beat in.
Newstoter. Jews, I think, in this country, I think the Jews are like maybe three, no more than 5% of the population in this country. And see, when John Ossoff ran for office, I found information here in Georgia. They are 1.2% of the population here in Georgia. But yet, you got a group of people who doesn't have the demographics to vote themselves into office. But they come to us, they want our vote, but yet they can't do anything. I'll give you an example. When John Ossoff was running for Senate, John Ossoff was interviewed by this local talk show host here in Atlanta. And when he came on, John Ossoff was asked the question if he supported reparations for black people. First time he said no. I support Senator Booker's bill, and I got to find that. I think I recorded it on my phone. I got to find that and send it to DJ. He said, "No, I support Senator Booker's bill." And then later on through the interview, he was asked again. He said, "I support Senator Booker's bill." What kind of? I don't want to cuss because there's sisters in the room. What kind of crap is that? You sitting up here, you cannot get elected without the black vote. It's just impossible for you because of who you are, but yet you want to take our vote. I didn't vote for him, and I'm proud to say I didn't vote for him or Raphael, because not the one I'm going to do a damn thing for black folks. And what he did, he didn't have anything on his platform for black people. But then when he got close to election, he put some stuff up there for HBCUs. That is not a platform for black people. It is not. See, that's how that's those little mind games they play. It's kind of like how, that's a different topic. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, yeah, those are the mind games they play with black people. And unfortunately, too many of our people, they go along with this crap. Anybody speaks out against it, they get called all kind of names and this, that, and whatever. But I'm not sorry. Call me whatever. But I would no longer go along with your crap. I would just no longer do it. And let me land with that and let someone else come in.
All right. PJ, how you doing today? Go ahead and unmute your mic.
I'm all right, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. So I just got a question, and I'm looking for input from anybody and everybody that's in this room. I see the duplicitous nature of the way, they're handling these police officers. You touched on that a little earlier, Newstoter. But what I want to know is, after seeing everything that our people have been through for several years dealing with law enforcement, and even just in the past few years, what would cause these young brothers to have a mindset like that? Like, why would they do the same thing to this young man that we've seen, law enforcement do so often? Like, I don't get it. After seeing your own go through things like that, what would make you want to go back and do the same thing? I just don't get it. And I'll land there because, like I said, I'm just looking for input on the mindsets of these guys.
That's a good question. You really never know what's in the mind of somebody. And in the space a few days ago when we spoke about, we talked about Tyre Nichols. We had a space in that space. If you guys get a chance, go back and listen to it. We talked about Tyre Nichols. We talked about Ed Reed and the Bethune-Cookman situation in the turkey leg hut. And I made a mention that, growing up as a kid, I can remember hearing older people always say, that a lot of times they felt that the black cops were worse than the white cops because the black cops wanted to prove their loyalty and prove to everybody that they were actually, that they didn't place their race above doing their duty as well too. So I even, even though it was a movie, I even referenced, the little scene in Boys in the Hood where Cuba Gooding Jr. gets pulled over by the cop, and the cop pulls a gun out on him, calling him a gang member and this and that, threatening to shoot him as well too. As a kid, I always heard this, that that a lot of people felt that the black cops were just as nasty or nastier than the white cops. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. But that was always something that was said. Why would you have these cops sit up here and do this to this brother? I mean, first off, let's be honest. It doesn't take 5 cops to go ahead and subdue one man. I mean, it doesn't take you killing him. Like, you got 5 cops there. Tyre was not a huge man. It's not like you talk about he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's Shaq or something like that. 2 of those cops should have been able to subdue this brother and take him without any harm. But the fact of the matter that they just beat on him and did that. And like Original said, I couldn't watch that whole videotape. It was just a little bit too much for me. So I could not watch that whole tape. But the parts that I saw, and I saw this one brother just kept hitting him, and they just holding him up, hitting him. So I don't know what in your mind would possess you to treat this man like that. Whatever he did, and I'm wondering, and I've heard, and I don't know how valid this is, but I've heard rumors of people saying that somebody that has some kind of prior history with him. So, I don't know if it was if it was some kind of beef or anything like that going on. I'm sure more of this will come to light if so, but why would you just go ahead and treat anybody like that? But let alone you're sitting up here and the history that black people in this country have with the cops. As somebody that has that power over other individuals, how can you just sit up there and just beat on him and beat on him and beat on him and beat on him and beat on him? And then you just sitting up there, the other cops just sitting up there. I mean, it was ridiculous, man. PJ, I can't really put into words. I really don't understand how they could go along with that, how they can do that, knowing the history, knowing everything that's been tied into black people in these police departments, basically slave patrols, coming from out of slavery, slave patrols, and then putting a badge on them and stuff, and just sitting up there and allowing this and just acting like it's nothing. And I said, we got us a troll over here in YouTube right here. This joker named Jay Namath sitting up here. And Lisa, I see what you said about that. Go ahead and tweet out that about the sister needing a donation for a funeral. We'll go ahead and we'll tweet that out as well too. So shout out to you, Lisa Kilpatrick. But we got this troll over here. You always got some lame, whether it's on these Twitter Spaces or it's over in YouTube. You got this joker sitting up here talk about you want reparations. Go ask the Jews who bought you over here. Blacks over 500 billion in debt negative per year on tax income. I say reparations would pay 50 times over. I don't hear you guys crying when there's 80 shots in Chicago each weekend. You just cry when it's the cops. Listen, Peckerhead, and I see you got a black profile or whatever, like some kind of neo-Nazi hat on. But listen here, Peckerhead, if it wasn't for black people, your dumb ass wouldn't even have a country to even live in. So you can sit up here and shut your dumb ass up and let me go ahead and kick you out. If I had more people over there in the space, I'd have them just go ahead and go in on you. But I don't have enough people over there, so let me go ahead and block your stupid ass and get you up out of here. You always have, like I say, no matter whether it's Twitter Spaces or over there on YouTube, you always got one of these rednecks or these Negroes handpicked come out the woodwork talking stupid over here, talking about there would be no goddamn country if it wasn't for black people. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I thought I just blocked your dumb ass too. Like, what's that, bro? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, man, I wouldn't even give you that much energy, man, because the thing is always, like, don't look at me, go look at these Jews, go look at this person, go look at that person. Everything put the blame where it needs to be. I wouldn't even give him no energy, bro. You did the best thing, block him and keep it pushing.
Yeah, I thought I blocked him. It seemed like he was able to get through the block, but let me not even focus. Let's go ahead and all this side distraction, arguing with idiots on here and stuff like that. Go ahead, Aunt Lot. Go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Aunt Lie? Let me give Aunt Lie a minute. I don't know.
I'm here. It's just that my phone be super, super, super slow. How y'all doing? Peace, Black Power, and reparations to everybody. I just want to say this. I'm gonna be short and sweet. I saw the video. I'm already pissed. I got high blood pressure, so I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to remain as calm as I possibly can. But I just wanted to be said that I want people to stop saying that this is not policing. Because when we say that this is not policing, and when people that is a bold-faced lie, and that provides an excuse. So if it's not policing, then what is it? So what have every other police officer who's from the Rodney King situation all the way down to like any and every situation where it comes where Black people are being killed by police. It's a lot of situations we don't know about. It wasn't always recorded. It wasn't always documented. This is what policing is. And I want people to understand, once we get that and we start calling a spade and start calling things what they are, everything else will make sense. But we give the excuse and we give them cover when we say this is not what the police do. No, that's the fuck. I grew up in for the 40 years that I've been alive, this is policing. For the 60-some years my mama been alive, this was policing. So when we say this is not policing, we give them cover and we give them an excuse, then what is it? It's these lone wolves. How many goddamn lone wolves it got to be before realize that it's a fact? Not all police are bad. Bullshit. It's all of them. We got to stop making the excuse that it's not all of them, that this is not their culture. As a person who has a criminal justice degree, worked in law enforcement, who have family, this is what they're taught in law enforcement. I don't want y'all to be thinking that I'm making, this is exactly what they're taught. You are called the N-word. And if you look at the different complaints from the officers who filed complaints and lawsuits about how they're treated in law enforcement, how they're discriminated against, how the racism happens, this is the treatment. This is what it is. When you're a Black person in law enforcement and you stick up, you are retaliated against and pointed out. So what they did to Tyre Nichols is exactly what they were taught to do. It is allowed. It is part of the police policy. It's a part of their culture. It's who they are as police. And we need to make sure that we say that at every chance we get, because what happens is then we get the excuse, well, that's not policing. They were not taught that. And even within Derek Chauvin trial, the police chief got up there and said, oh, no, that's not policing. What he did, even though he did it to somebody else in the past and nothing happened to him. So if it wasn't policing, why did he do it before and get away? We need to start understanding the psychological warfare of this, and we need to understand, and I do agree with what Mr. Lloyd said, as far as making sure, not saying we don't hold these officers accountable, but we already know that they're going to get probably the death penalty. Let's be honest. The police, when they're in the Department of Corrections, it's 5 of them, maybe 2 of them is going to commit suicide, quote unquote, and they're going to be thrown under the jail. So for us to even say anything about, but let's talk about even though this is the part, let's talk about that this is policing. Let's talk about that factor of it. Like he said, the Scorpion Squad, whatever they are, let's talk about that this is really what policing is. And that's why it happens. That's why the police are so militarized. That's why there's no police reform bill. That's why they don't want to get rid of qualified immunity. That's why it's hard. It's if it's a white officer, they don't get charged as quickly as these Black officers, because that's what it is. And when we try to debate about it, or we don't, we say, well, we don't know what it is, it gives them an excuse for them to say whatever, come up with something other than what it really is. So that's all I want to say. I land my plane. I love all of y'all. I pray for all y'all strength, y'all mental health, y'all well-being. To Mr. Original, I can't even say try not to let it get down, but I'm just sending love, light, and energy your way, and every Black man in this room and Black woman in this room. I'm just sending love, energy, and love and light your way, because to see a black man kill another Black man for no reason but the fact they could, that shit hurt. There's no other way to put it. But I'll let my play.
Real talk. I'm gonna get to the speakers real quick, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go through this article real quick, because I want y'all to hear about what they're trying to pull off here in Florida as well too. And you can go ahead and get back to Tyre Nichols, because that is the actual story of the actual room. That's the most important story. But I also have to go ahead and talk about exactly what they're trying to do here in Florida as well too. So we're gonna get back to you speakers. Just give me real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this article. It's also in the Jumbotron as well too. For you guys that can, make sure you subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the actual newsletter. That's all in the Jumbotron right now. Lisa, I went ahead also and put up the I retweeted what you about the Shirley passing away and her donation. That's up in the Jumbotron. Also, I retweeted out as well too. So I'm gonna go ahead real quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and touch up on this article. about what's going on in Florida. But you guys go ahead. Once I touch that, if you guys want to go ahead and jump back on Tyre Nichols, that's more than fine. I just want to go ahead and let the room hear exactly what they're trying to pull off in the great state of Florida. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me go ahead and find this article real quick. Oh, Lord. Trying to find the article. I had it pulled up, but
Hey, so while you're doing that, can I go ahead and make a comment?
yeah, go ahead and go ahead, Lloyd. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually want to make two. First one is to the gentleman that talked about Ben Crump and what he said to, I think it was Tamir Rice's mother. I feel you. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But keep this in mind. Ben Crump is her attorney. He is not her friend. Tamir was gone, is gone, and is not coming back. And as her attorney, his job is to get everything that he can get. And if she needs to understand that, then I applaud him for educating her. As much as hurtful to hear as it is, my attorney needs to take care of me when I can't take care of myself. And I hope I'm clear on that. To the other person, a gentleman that was talking about the there's
You breaking up, Lloyd. You breaking up. Yeah, Lloyd, you breaking up. Yeah, you breaking up pretty good there.
I'm moving around the house. Can you hear?
No, you breaking up pretty good there. Trust me.
Okay, well, I'll come back and talk about meritorious manumission. So that's the mindset thing. It's called meritorious manumission, and I'll go out and come back in. That's the only way this works.
No, go ahead. You clear now.
Oh, okay. Well, the mindset for these officers is called meritorious manumission. And what that means is that you do something meritorious and impress the white people, and they gave you your freedom when we were enslaved. And that has been put into a lot of our DNA. So these guys want these white officers, the guys that they love, that respect them, the real men, to respect them and see, I'm a good one. I went and see what I did to that Negro. See what I did. See, I'm a good one. That is that's the mindset, is trying to get acceptance from white people before you get acceptance from yourself. The reason I don't have any problem with white people is because I have no problem talking to them in their face the way I talk about them on these spaces. And I don't let them get me upset. I just stick to the facts, and you're not going to beat me. And I don't need your white validation to be Lloyd. I was born validated the minute I came out of my mother's womb. And until our community starts putting that in our DNA, we're going to see crazy shit like this all the time. I'll land there.
Okay, I'm gonna get to the speakers. Let me go ahead and I found that article. Let me go ahead and get to that real quick, and then we can get back on this as well too. So everybody, make sure your mic's mute, and then we're gonna come back. And the line of order is gonna be Nate, Jamaica, Black Native, and Original. So we'll go ahead and we'll get to you guys. So I found the article. It's also in the Jumbotron as well too. So let me go ahead and touch up on that real quick, and then we can go ahead and go back to Tyre, or you guys can also talk about the Florida anti-Semitic bill that they're trying to pass down here as well too. That's getting bipartisan support. This was published by WSF Public Media. It's curated on Newstoter.com platform. The actual article is in the actual Jumbotron, and is also in the actual link on the YouTube channel if you guys want to read the article as well too. Enough is enough, said Republican Mike Caruso. The Delray Beach Republican filed the bill last week. He said that legislatures need to act. State lawmakers of both parties are pushing a bill to counter the rising number of anti-Semitic incidents in Florida. Enough is enough, said Mike Caruso, the Delray Beach Republican who filed a bill last week. He said the legislatures need to act quickly. If we don't do something now, Caruso said Thursday at the Tallahassee press conference, then soon we might have 1933 Nazi Germany all over here again. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Man, stop it. The legislators session convenes March 7th. How about we have all of the 1960s and people pulling out water hoses and putting them on black people and stuff like that? Well, I mean, maybe I'm missing all of these attacks, and I'm not saying that it's not happening, but what about all the black attacks? The bill, House Bill 269, would raise offenses from a misdemeanor to a third-degree felony to litter a yard with a flyer, harass people, disrupt schools or religious services, deface graves in certain buildings, or project images on someone else's property if the act shows ethnic or religious hostility. The bill explicitly references vandalism that manifests anti-Semitism and the use of Nazi symbols. The particulars of the bill address increasingly common anti-Semitic flyers that are distributed in neighborhoods, as well as racist graffiti, vandalism, and anti-Semitic messages projected on the buildings. As for the littering offense, the bill first makes it a first-degree misdemeanor to create litter with a pamphlet, flyer, or other material. In the current statute, littering in small amounts is not a criminal infraction. Brevard County Republican Representative Randy Fine said holding Nazi views is not illegal, but he said it is illegal to trespass, it is illegal to litter, it is illegal to assault people. And we need to say that when your stupid Nazism moves from words to actions, we're going to hold you accountable. Fine said the bill is a reaction to the explosion of anti-Semitic incidents we've seen in Florida over the last 6 months. I mean, they've gone from rare to monthly to weekly to daily, and people are scared. 3 Democrat lawmakers have also signed on as co-sponsors. The Anti-Defamation League says the groups responsible for the anti-Jewish incidents also target LGBTQ and transgender people. A couple of bills by Democrats, such as Senate Bill 276 by Palm Beach County Senator Lori Berman, will make that gender-based and gender identity-based prejudice also criteria for hate crime. So I just wanted to touch up on that real quick, guys. We can go ahead. Let me go ahead and give a shout out to Miss Trigger for her birthday gift. Thank you, Miss Trigger. She contributed on Cash App. Thank you, Miss Trigger. I definitely appreciate that for the birthday gift. If you guys want to support Newstoter, you can support us on Cash App. That is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, largest Black American-owned news curation platform today in America. If you do not have a PayPal, we have a Venmo. And I'm sorry, if you do not have a Cash App, we have the PayPal and Venmo up in the Jumbotron as well, too. You can support us once again on Cash App. That is $Newstoter. And this is what I'm talking about. We're talking about creating all these hate bills for all these other specific groups of people, but we can't make it for a black person. We refuse to do anything for a black person. If we do something for a black person, it's a hate bill for everybody. It can't be anything specifically targeted for black people. It has to include, now we can make it for transgenders and LGBTQ. We can make it for the Jewish community. We can make a federal bill for the Asian people, but we can't do anything specifically for black people. Had we had something specifically for black people, this young man, Tyre Nichols, might still be alive today. We refuse to do anything specifically for black people. Any other group, fine. But when it comes to black people, well, we can't just do something based on race. Or, well, we can do something based on race, but we don't want to do something based on race. So all that talk that we can't do something based on race, that kind of got thrown out of the woodwork when you did it for the Asian people. Now you can do things based on people's sexual preference and everything else, but we're not going to do anything for the black people. And that, you wonder why we have no protection in the street. You wonder why people put billy clubs and beat us half to death. Even our own people sitting up here with a badge beating us to death and whatnot. So this is where we at in this country right here. Do for any and every other group, but as long as you're not doing for the Negroes. Like that movie, that old movie I saw back in the day, A Soldier Story, when you had an all-star cast. You had Denzel Washington on there. You had Robert Townsend. Howard Rollins was a star, Adolph Caesar, and like they set up in the barrier, anything you don't want to do, the colored troops will do for you. So anything you don't want to do, you don't have to do anything for them Negroes. Do it for any and everybody else, but just leave the blacks up out of it. On that note, Nate, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thanks for letting me speak. The Ben Crump was the lawyer for Tamir Rice's mother. They shot and killed Tamir Rice before the car come to a complete stop, murdered that boy. The whole point, Ben Crump didn't have to come out his mouth talking about angry mothers don't get checks.
he's employed by the mother. The mother is his employer. He could have fixed his face to talk in a more compassionate and respectful way to his mother, who just had her son shot the fuck down. How you missed that, I have no fucking idea. He could have expanded his point in a more compassionate, decent way. I wanted to build on something Aunt Lai said about the police and their training. I've said it in the space before, but I'll say it again. I was in the military for 22 years, and I retired. And I was hired by the police right out the military. And I quit after 4 months because it was obvious what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to go outside and move against my own fucking people. And so we were doing some training one day in the academy. And so in this scenario, I pulled out my baton, I extended my baton, I beat the brakes off his bag in the academy. I ain't saying shit, I'm just beating the fuck out of his bag. And I'll never forget, the training officer stops me and tells me, when you're beating somebody like that, you have to say, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And so if you watch the film, Brother Tyre, in all of these films, you see these cops beating people and saying, stop resisting, put your hands behind your back. They're giving commands while beating the fuck out of somebody, while beating the brakes out of somebody, while beating somebody to fucking death. It's not a fucking coincidence. And if you notice, again, in all these fucking films, you got 5 big-ass motherfuckers. How the fuck 5 people can't get one man's arms behind his back? How the fuck they can't wrench his fucking arms behind his back and get the cuffs on? Because once you put the cuffs on, the whole fucking thing is over. But they don't do that. They beat the fuck out of you and issue commands so it gets picked up on the body camera. Man, yeah, I'm gonna land right there, man. But maybe I'll come back to speak, but I got to land right there. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Nick. I can feel the frustration in you. I can hear it in your voice. Like, and not only that, common sense should tell you sometimes somebody can get beat to the point where, their cognitive is just all over the place and just maybe that instincts to get up and try to, try to do what they can or whatever. You have to have enough sense, man, to go ahead and stop beating somebody. I mean, you see that the person is pretty much done and finished with. And in this case, this brother could even stand up. He couldn't even stand up. So they're just holding him up to be beaten. So they had enough sense to know better than this, man. And I don't want to hear about giving another $1 billion for police training and all this other nonsense as well, too. You constantly pouring money and talk about training. How long does it take to train a damn person? They go to police academy. How long does it take to keep pouring money into the police department to get these kind of results? So you just can't keep pumping money in there. And people thought that the defund the police thing was the worst thing. Defund the police didn't say get rid of the police, but it means you cut their funding. You don't keep funding people to keep breaking the law that's supposed to be protecting people. You just can't keep doing that. Jamaica, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hello, everyone. I usually don't get on spaces too much. Kind of a introvert, but I just want to touch on what Mr. Turner said. Facts, like nothing but facts that you're saying. When you look at Tennessee, people tend to look at a small portion of Tennessee, Memphis, and they focus on Memphis because Memphis has a lot of Black people. When you look at the system as far as the state Congress, Senate, House of Representatives. These are the people who literally make the laws for Memphis, all of Tennessee. And if it's predominantly white, predominantly racist, I mean, you literally have a federal senator who's it, Marsha Blackburn, and the other Republican senator. Look how they fight tooth and nail to not confirm this justice, this Black justice. Like she hit everything on the head, every nail on the head. I mean, intelligent, so intellectual. I mean, everything they came at her with, she had something for them. Like, I've never seen anyone get on a confirmation stand and just be that bold and take on every single Republican. But it's the system. It's the system. You have a state and house. They are all predominantly white, and they're racist. They're racist. And they stick some black people up in there and said, hey, we hire black people in Memphis. You can't say we're not racist now. They make the laws. The governor, Republican. I mean, I keep seeing all this stuff and I keep hearing all this stuff, and it's like, these are the people that you give to us to vote for. Like, what are we supposed to do? It's like you're trying to, out of a small piece of sand, you're trying to pick out a piece of good, and sometimes the only good is like one black senator in the Congress. Like I just don't even know. But and then Tamir Rice, like, I can't even begin to talk about that. Like, these attorneys, I've dealt with them. They got no empathy. All they want is your money. Your money, money, money. Can you imagine she got $23 million? How much he got out of that? Like, it's just money. Straight up money for them. They don't care about this black woman and her child who got murdered. This man is out there, still out there free. Free. Who got a job somewhere else. And people had to stand up. Like, not in our community. Like, why can't we do that in our community? Like what the frick? I mean, I don't understand. California, Florida. Like, why you keep voting for these stupid people? Like, okay, the small sand grain, you got to pick it out. Which one has the small sand grain? And then you can't just say, I'm not going to vote. I'm just going to sit there and just, because I'm not getting what I want, I'm just not going to vote. Like, come on. Like, get up in their space. Like, I had a sister who was murdered a couple of years ago. Like, come on, the prosecutor is not for you. And when you don't know no better, you can't. And at the time, I was young. Like, I was young. If I had known what I had known back then, it's like they'd never get away with the stuff they do. Because we let them get away with it. And like Colin Kaepernick said, you got to know your rights. You got to know the law. Like, there's literally laws out here for us. Like, the Civil Rights Act. Like, come on, people fought for that. Like, when you see racism going on in the workplace, like, you don't sit there and just be like, well, I don't want to lose my job and my coins and my whatever the fuck it is. Like, I'm sorry for cursing, but like I can't sit in a job and watch like white people talk to my people like any and anyhow. Like, I'll go to their boss, and if you don't like it, I'm going to document, and I'm going to document it. I'm going to document every situation I have. This day, this time, this person did this to this person. I'm going to write it down. And when you do my progress report or whatever you do at work, you're going to make sure you put in there that I'm saving y'all white asses. I'm not going to let you leave that part blank in my report. So when you try to fire me for some dumb shit, oh, you better believe I'm going to definitely to the civil rights organization in my state, the federal level. I'm not going to stop. I know it's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting like shit because you still got to feed your children. You still got to take care of your family. You still got to do all of that while you're making this fight. They work you like no other to the point where you don't even have time to take care of yourself in your home. Now you don't have time to fight all these battles. That's why we got to come together. We just got to do what we got to do. We got to stop dividing ourselves between each other. Like, I hear people out here saying, yeah, we're here, we're Black Americans, we're not Africans. like you straight up Africans. Like whether we like it or not, Jamaicans, we Africans. Even the ones in Australia that are indigenous people in Australia that are black, they African. So we just need to stop the divide and just seriously just come together and figure this shit out. Like the system is just messed up and it's just frustrating. I'm sorry. It's hard because there's so much going on, and we continue to divide on the inside and we continue not to see the problems out there for what they are. Like they put these black people up there and they're just like, yeah, we're in Memphis, it's black, we're hiring these black people, they're gonna take care of our community. Like, but when you look up the chain, the CEO that's up at the chain, like, it's just not gonna work. Yeah. So that's just what I want to say. I'm frustrated. I'm sorry. I'm like hella frustrated. I can't take the division. It's crazy. Like, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the time to just let loose. It's hard watching this stuff. I couldn't even watch the whole video. That's some bullshit. Like, nah, man, that's fucked up. Nah, we can't continue to just see this shit happening. Like looking at the little parts, it's the bigger parts, man. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, I had my brother, some shit like that happened to him too, where he was locked up in a mental institution because some cop lied on a police report. You best believe I fought that shit and we won. I'm just not gonna let them get away with it. And I said, you know what? Since we got body cameras, look back at the body camera. Let's look back at the body camera and see what the body camera says. And the chief called me and was like, yeah, we watched it. We had no choice. White chief, no choice but to write a report that officer was wrong. And state I live in, all of them are required to wear a body camera. They're all required to when they do a traffic stop. There's no getting around that greeting. Hello, sir, ma'am. Do you know what I stopped you for today? And honestly, I live in a predominantly white county, and every time they stop me, they've got to say it. They've got to say it. And when they don't, you got to call them out. It's just what it is. You're going to have to hate me, but I don't care.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Jamaica. Thank you for coming up and speaking. As always, if you want to speak again, just go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and we'll get to you. You're welcome. Black Native checked out. Maybe she'll be coming back in here. She was in there, but maybe she had some connection issues. So let me go ahead and get to we're going to get to a couple of new speakers as well. We're going to get to our others as well. Two guys that already spoke. We're going to come back around to y'all, but we're going to go ahead and get to some of the new speakers. I believe we have Clarence up, and then we have Art. Clarence, go ahead and unmute your mic. Hey, what's going on, man?
Good. Wonderful space. I'll be brief.
I think we can't. You kind of breaking up a little bit, Clarence.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And so I've done activism work for years now around police brutality, and two of the things where we always thought were solutions to kind of change the system was, one, is to diversify the police force, right? And so we always say, hey, if we try to get more black people into the force, then that maybe will change some of the dynamic between the interactions between black people and police. We figured that black people treat black people that's been wrong. The other piece of that is we thought that this works if
Clarence, you breaking up again. Yeah, you may have to come out and then come back in because you breaking up. Yeah, can you hear me, Clarence? think he may be having some technical issues because he's breaking in. He's coming in and breaking up. So Clarence, if you get a chance, come back. Come out of the room and come back in, and we'll come back and we'll get you back into space. We'll get you back in the speaker rotation. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but go ahead and come in and out, Clarence, and we'll get you back in. While Clarence doing that, we're gonna go to Art, then we'll go to Rella. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah. To me, this is a little bit crazy. How people say, well, trying to, I don't know, push down on non-voters for not voting or something. I don't know. I often get that, or like trying to blame voters. I posted in a jumbotron the political spectrum. We need to identify ideologies and trends, and use logic, right? Last 60 years, we could, first of all, we wasn't even free until 1965, not 1865. I always remember that. Taxation without representation is still slavery. So we wasn't free until 1965. That's where we need to go for that. The Blue Party has not changed. They fought to have slaves. If anybody remembers the Civil War, 2022, they fought to have their second crime bill. And if you read the 13th Amendment, you don't have slavery except for when locked up, right? So they're still doing the same shit in 2022. Let's look at the Republican Party. 1865 gave slave owners reparations. 2019, Trump gave who reparations? He called it bailouts. Shit ain't changed but the fucking day it is. So when people talk to me about this, I like to conversate the same thing that when I tell these white supremacists. When they tell me, oh, we want a state, I posted in the Jumbotron, slave catchers. Slave catchers did disappear to 1860. Just like 10 or 20 years before that, that's when police showed up. So you're voting for that. That's what people voting for. And I will always say this, I'll end with this. The state is a monopoly on violence. You can't enforce laws without a monopoly on violence. Guess what the byproduct of a monopoly on violence is? Monopolies and violence. And that's what we have. So don't go around the pot. The minute you open the door to a monopoly on violence, you get monopolies of violence. Where do you think the monopolies come from? Certain people or individuals are single-digit billionaires. And then after COVID, are triple-digit billionaires. Guess how they got made? Government contracts. Monopolies make more monopolies and more violence. Who was accountable? These police aren't accountable for shit. People tell me they're accountable. How the voter is not accountable to be talking shit to the non-voter. Media is not accountable to the lies they tell the voters. The voters are not accountable for the politicians they put in office. Politicians are not accountable. The cops are not accountable. Who the fuck's accountable in this government? Sounds like a bunch of anarchy and nobody wants to call it that. That's what we got. We got an anarchist government. Like, I'm not seeing accountability. It's just randomly distributed. That's what it is. Randomly distributed accountability. And it never goes to the motherfuckers at the top. Never goes to the CEOs who bought all your politicians. Your politicians are bought. When you vote, you're voting for logos. So until people decide that one day they're not going to go to work, they're not going to buy shit, and they're going to do mutual aid so they can do these things, it's just going to keep perpetuating. Because you're going to go work for these companies. These companies are going to buy your politicians, and you're going to vote for said bot politicians. You ain't going to have to research because you're too busy working for the same people who are buying your politicians. Rinse, repeat. The black people spent $1.5 billion these last midterms to pick between two assholes. $1.5 billion. But we're broke, right? In comparison, that was 16.4 that the whole country spent on midterms. Are you not getting what you wanted? Because it seems to me that $1.5 billion could have probably been spent just lobbying. It would have been better spent lobbying than anything if you're just gonna waste it. Or maybe just a 4K house in which they can print houses now. How many houses could that have bought? Seems like we're not spending money on the good shit. So maybe we should pay attention to this before we start calling out the non-voters who don't want to vote for a fucking
racist A or racist B. Because when I turned on CNN, I seen, oh, Trump's a racist. When I turned on Fox, I see, oh, Biden's a racist. I'm not voting for any racist. As simple as that. So I'll land.
All right, Art. Appreciate you coming up speaking today. Appreciate that as well. Let me go ahead and get to Rella. Rella, go ahead and unmute your mic.
You know, I watched the video, 4 segments of it, and it was more than 5 cops in the entire situation, and they only, of course, are going after the last cops that actually beat Tyre at the end. But he was brutalized from the beginning to the end, and you know, Memphis is a 64% Black American, African American, however you want to coin it, according to the census. And their senators are white. It's 2 senators are white Republicans for the state of Tennessee. So I really want to let that sink in, even though they have that one city. But the problem is, I don't know, my mind is so all over the place right now, so much information. But I do want to push back and say that, you know, there's no division when it comes to talking about what's going on in regards to Black people. There's only a collective effort to uncover information and truth. And if you cannot recognize when you come into this country that there is an element of culture of people that are here, then the division is not that we are divided, it's that you're trying to impose your culture on a group of people that are already here. I can't go nowhere else and do that. Even if I was to go somewhere else and there was oppression going on in other people's countries. So I think we really need to get a handle on, you know, how in situations like this, other people tend to come in and they want to make it about, we need to make it a collective effort. Well, if that's the case, then my culture is the supreme culture when you are here in the United States. And unfortunately, I don't have to be under the rule of anyone else. So you need to learn a little bit more about us. The reason why other Black and melanated people actually experience police brutality in the rates that they do is because they're coming into a system that they thought that they can skate by and hopefully not be recognized as a Black American descendant. These cops in the situation with Tyre Nichols, they definitely have set precedents, and this definitely better be the blueprint moving forward, meaning that white cop that vocalized himself in the beginning of the traffic stop with Tyre saying, I hope that they jump him, they better find him and make sure they put his pasty mug on deck as well. And I saw that space, that 7-point whatever case space that, you know, white folks held yesterday, because somehow when these things happen, I don't know, I can't ever put my finger on it if they're actually coming out to gloat about it, you know, find some sort of, I don't know, glory in, you know, having these things happen, like a trophy almost, like a trophy prize or whatever. And they took it upon themselves to host this space. And all these people came into this space, and I'm thinking, my goodness, how privileged are they to host a space where they too, if they are voting citizens or non-voters, have a responsibility for humanity in this country. And yet they couldn't even come to a consensus of how to move forward and to actually even talk about the brutality that is existing in the culture of policing in the United States and where it comes from and how it got here.
Hey, Rella, real quick, not to cut you off, but if any of our speakers, because we got other people requesting to come up as well too, if anybody at this point in time doesn't want to speak or are not going to speak at this moment, please go ahead and drop down the listener, or I can drop you down the listener because we have some other people trying to come up as well too.
Well, I'll drop down. I'll post everything in Jumbotron.
Who said that? Art? Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Art. Go ahead, Rella. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I'll drop down as well.
No, you're fine. I didn't. My manners. I apologize, Newstoter.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just.
Right.
No, go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
So I think at the moment that's the only thing in my mind right now can conceptualize, because it's just too much to really discuss and talk about, and I have been needing time to just process even watching it, because if it's not the police brutality issue, it's everything. It's extending all over into everywhere, to the schools, into our homes, and I mean, at this point, we're going to have to listen to the voters and non-voters together. And I've had that discussion with Art to figure out, what is the best approach into moving the needle forward so that we can get legislation for ourselves. Because if we don't want to see any more men, Black American men, down the street or on the ground, or women being murdered in their homes, children being shot to death, while they're calling out for their mothers, we're going to have to make a drastic change, and we're going to have to get ready and prepared to do that. So I'll land it there, and I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll just keep listening.
Okay, thank you, Rella. Let me go ahead and Clarence, I know you were up here before and you was having some technical issues, so let me go ahead and see if everything's straight on your end now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I should be good now. I was driving in a bad area, so I should be good. I'll try to be brief so I don't get another bad area. No, but what I was going to say is, really, one, I don't think this is a voting issue. I don't know how voting is going to change this issue. Black folks vote. I think more so these are Black cops who, once they become cops, they become a part of the system, and they abuse their power, even to the point where they just brutalize their own. Right? They want to align themselves with the power that comes with the badge. Right? They broke morality out the door. They raised their hand and they swore that they would protect the certain city of Memphis. But somehow, when you make that traffic stop, the adrenaline of just having life and death in your hands means more than morality, right? But also the point I wanted to make also is that out of those 5 cops, 4 of those cops are members of the Omega Psi Phi. So when I was talking about maybe if you get cops that have college degrees, maybe they'll have more logical reasoning skills. Maybe they're a little bit more experienced with dealing with different situations and conflict resolution. But even the educated among us, once they put on that badge, they become the monsters that we always know police to be. So I don't care what color you are. Once you put that badge on, you become a member of that blue line, that blue code, that blue beast, and they protect each other. And I'll land.
All right. Thank you, Clarence. Appreciate that. Black Native, I know you were up here too. I don't know if he was having technical issues, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you get up in here as well. And thank you for the birthday wish earlier this morning as well too.
You're welcome, Newstoter. I was gonna play.
You low, Black Native.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
What about now? Okay. I said thank you. Yeah, I was gonna play Stevie Wonder, "Happy Birthday," but right now, this is a solemn time, and I just wanted to agree with the sister that spoke. I was in the room. Professor told me, "Hey, come in this space." I sat there, I sucked it up and tried to listen. They were gloating. That's what the whole room was for. They didn't have any Black people as co-hosts in that room. They came up here, 7,000. It was a lot of our people in there. Every person really spoke a certain nature to gloat, to say, "Look, you've always said it was us. Now, look, it's your people." And so that's what I got out of it. I couldn't stay in there and stand it for too long. But the video, I couldn't even watch it. I tried. Um, there was a white man in the beginning I saw when he's the one that pulled him out, and I believe it was tasing him. But I couldn't watch it when they was punching him in the face, because I'm sitting there looking at other black people who we want in our communities. We want to see our own people patrolling our community. This is what we've been asking for, to brutalize their own brother. They didn't see him as their brother at that moment. All five of them didn't see this man as another black man. They saw him as an enemy, which I believe is taught, like Nate said, when they join the force. You know what I'm saying? So all the morals, all the sympathy, all of the things went out the window. You can't expect for a 5-grown man to beat on one man in the head, kick him, beat him, whatever, and expect for him not to have any kind of brain injuries. It's just that he can't defend himself. It's fucking disgusting. So I couldn't watch it. I went downstairs. My mother said she was crying because it hurt her to see our own people behave like this in this type of way. It's sickening. So, I know what's going to happen. They thought maybe, I don't know what they was thinking. They thought maybe they could be protected because they were cops and because they've seen other white people get away with brutalizing us. And I guess maybe they thought, hey, if you watch the ending of it, they were sitting around, laughing and joking. One lit up a cigarette, like they didn't do anything wrong. Why this man sat here still handcuffed? No medical assistance was administered to him. The 2 EMS workers up there, I think, are suspended as well because they stood around. And nobody helped this man. This was the quickest, fastest indictment I've ever seen. And this happened, January the 7th, and by January the 25th, well, they got fired instantly. And January 25th, they were being charged with, I believe, manslaughter, all 5 of them. It's a sad thing. I know they're looking at it and they're looking back and they're regretting what they've done. But this should be a lesson, especially to the black police officers out here who want to practice white supremacy on their own people. You're not going to get away with it. You're not going to get away with it. You think because you are a police officer and you have that so-called blue wall of science, that doesn't apply to you. It only applies to white police officers. So I hope this never happens again. I hope they learn a lesson from this. And I also want to speak on the anti-Semitic bill that they're trying to pass in Florida. I have wanted to read the definition of what Semitic is. Because, see, this thing, like you said, everybody else and their mama can get a hate crime bill, but we can't. We're sitting here arguing what we should be called in this country. This is where it's come to. That they've actually changed us up and switched us around, and now we're sitting here having debates on what we should be called, just in order to get our reparations. But I want to just read this real quick. I had it pulled up. Definition of Semitic. I had it up here. Bear with me a moment, just in case nobody doesn't know what the meaning is. Okay, Semitic, relating to or denoting a family of languages that include Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician, Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of Afro-Asiatic family. So the term is relating to Afro-Asiatic people. So that's the term Semitic. So when they say anti-Semitic, are they referring to the Afro-Asiatic group? No, they're not. They're referring to white people who want to act like they're not white, who call themselves Jewish people. So there, that's that. And I just wanted to land on that because I'm just like, my whole mind, like the sister said, it's so much stuff going around. Like we're being bombarded like from every angle in every and it's like this nonstop fight. We just want peace. We want to be able to relax people, but we can't. We have to stay fighting in order to get what we need to get to survive in this country. And it's sad, but this is what we built for. We built for this. You know what I'm saying? This is what we have been built for. This is what it has been leading up to. And it's a great time. It might not seem that way to be alive in this country because we're going to see change. And it's going to come very drastic and very fast, even though we might not see it right now. Oh, we're going to get our money and everything that we've been wanting and everything that has been happening to us is going to change very fast. So we just need to watch out for it. And I'll just say happy birthday again, and I'll land my plane.
Thank you, Black Native. I appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, I'm glad that you also touched up on what they're trying to do here in Florida as well, too. That's why I say, I know we talk about, we have the issue politically about should you vote, should you not vote. I believe that's a personal decision, whatever you want to do. But we do have representatives in Congress, and those people are not representing us. The Black Caucus, you can get bipartisan support on certain things that they will go ahead and co-sign on, but whenever it's something for Black people, particularly, they won't say a word. They're quiet as a field mouse. And the fact of the matter that you see, not only nationally, federally with the anti-Asian hate bill, but even in these states and stuff, these local states, they're passing bills to protect certain groups of people. All of these groups of people, these certain groups, none of them include Black people. So until we start actually, holding the people accountable that's up there in office that's supposed to be representing us, then they're going to continue to do that. Nobody's really putting any pressure on the Black Caucus, to go ahead and have a Black agenda. And since there's no pressure on them, they don't have to listen. They're not going to do it. So they're going to continue to ignore us. So till we actually do something there, we're going to be in trouble. No reason. It's no reason at this point in time with everything that's progressed, especially just the last 3-4 years, that you haven't had a group of Black people sit up here and tell the Black Caucus what you're going to do. But we're not doing that. We're allowing them to go ahead and worry about every other group in this country except us. Every other group in this country, they're making sure they take care of their own base. They're making sure they cover their butts. They're going to take care of themselves first and foremost. They may consider themselves minority and people of color and unrepresented communities and all this other malarkey, but they making sure they go ahead and they cover themselves and cover their butts first and foremost. Black politicians refuse to do that. And Black politicians refuse to do that because Black people as a whole are not going to make them do it. They're not going to sit here. Black people are glad to have somebody in office that looks like them. And they haven't got over that point yet. You have to go ahead and get over the point that you want to have somebody in office just because they look like you or they're related to you or whatever. You have to have people that they look like you, but they have the same goals in mind that you do. And we're not doing that. And because we're not doing that, we're in trouble. So until we go ahead and start holding the Black Caucus responsible, they're going to continue to ignore us. They should be on board. They should go to their people and say, look, and put it out there in front of everybody in this country. We just came up. We created this bill that we want to get passed. We see all these other groups. They have coverage and stuff in this country. They're able to protect themselves. We feel that Black Americans who suffer the most hate crimes in the country, bar no other group, they should have protection. And until we do that as a people, and we're not going to do that because we don't want to upset the status quo. We want to make sure that we have enough Democrats in office. We feel like the Democrats are our party. We've been feeling that way since the 1960s. They've showed you that they don't give a damn about us. People say, well, they care more about us than the Republicans. Well, that's not saying much. That's not saying much. So until we actually start doing that, there's no reason that they couldn't have went ahead and did that. And Black Native made a great point. I'm not here about playing all these games and stuff, these different ethnic groups and races and stuff like that. I know exactly what the Jewish community people are in terms of race, and everybody else knows it as well too. So we can sit up here and play these. Well, they're not. Well, if they're not white, then are they Black? No. Are they Asian? No. So then that leaves one other race or group that they can only be. And if they're not, I mean, you're either one of the three. You fall in those categories. Either you're Black, you're Asian, or you're white. And if you tell one of these Jewish people that they're Black, they will have a fit. So we know they're not Black, and they're not Asian either. So we can just quit all the little word games and stuff that people want to keep playing. Queen of the North, you've been waiting patiently. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi. I thank you for the space. My statement goes right along with what you just said. I have been holding conversations regarding the example that the far right set with their Speaker of the House votes, and wondering, especially now that there's this debt ceiling vote that must be had, that if we could, as a nation, apply the pressure for the Congressional Black Caucus to finally pass the George Policing Act, in exchange for our vote to raise the debt limit, that would be phenomenal, because the House is Republican, but they need to pass it. They have the purse, they need to pass it. The Senate, is supposed to be Democrat. Well, you guys need to stand up for what you say you are. If y'all are truly allies to Black Americans, when the House passed the George Policing Act, it should be easy going in the Senate. My thing is, why I think that is necessary is because the qualified immunity protects government all officials, and the idea that if they are thought to have committed a crime, oftentimes a prosecutor will throw the case to a grand jury, and when they're prosecuting that, they have to specify that the perpetrator not only committed a crime by going against somebody's civil rights, but they knew that they were doing it at that moment. And so a lot of grand juries get hung up on that and fail to indict people simply because it's really difficult to identify what is in someone's mind, right? And I think that without the qualified immunity, there would be so much more accountability in all government, all officials, because in 1967, it was brought about for the protection of judges, because at that time, they were dealing with a whole lot of racial change, and that brought a lot of backlash. But I just think that with the national outcries of these past couple years, I think that is really all of these marches that we see and all of that, they need to have a demand for especially the Congressional Black Caucus, that this is, your time is up. If you do not speak for us, we will find somebody that will, and actually revoke our votes. Because you are right, they are comfortable knowing that because of the racial divide in between Black and white people in the country, that these races are so close that they need the Black voting bloc in order to put them up ahead. Well, that's real power. Like, we have the power to decide these races. And I don't know how it's going to be done, but I wish that we had some type of national organizing so we can really, truly hold these people accountable. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Queen of the North. And if you're not, please go ahead and follow Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest curator of Black news a day in America. Professor, how you doing today? And thank you for the birthday wishes. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter, man. I'm just right now really, I feel really brokenhearted, man, after watching the video, man. And when I saw the brother Tyre hollering out for his mom, man, it just did something to me. And see, when we see these videos, family, it does something to all of us. It puts us back into more trauma that we continue to see daily. And you start thinking, well, what can we do? How can we deal with this? Because it just seems to be so much happening at one time. Everything just being thrown at you. So we got to come up with some legislation for protection for our people. That we do know. Because I'm tired of seeing these videos of young brothers, sisters, our children just being beat at any time, at will, by these police officers who just don't seem to see the humanity in our people. And it's distasteful and it's a disgrace how the white supremacy system allows the shit to continue to go on. Now, it's amazing they move quick to put these brothers under charges, if that's what you want to call these black bastards. They put them under charges, but when it comes to these white officers, they don't move so quickly. And of course, that's something that we have to look at with this whole situation. The brothers need to be charged. And I know there's been some questions out there. Are they FBA or are they non-FBA? Either way, it really don't matter to me. They need to be held accountable. But they need to do the same thing with all the videos of the white officers that we have seen in these videos beating on our people and shooting our people in the back and shooting them in the head or whatever. See, if you're going to do this for these brothers, do it for the white officers that are out here doing shit daily. That's right, daily. Because one thing you don't see black officers beating down on white people. I haven't seen any now. Maybe somebody got a video of something like that, but I have not seen those type of videos of black officers beating on white people. So, Black Native spoke about that space last night. I know Sister Rilla spoke about it. I was in that space for a good while, y'all, and it really was a very disgusting space because it was all from a white supremacy point of view. They couldn't even agree on the qualified immunity because they were talking about they don't know if that should be removed at all because you won't have police officers working or wanting to come onto the forces or join the forces because it won't be there for their protection. What they're not understanding is the black community is tired of being abused and killed thanks to the qualified immunity because it allows these guys to get away with a lot of shit. Now, not the black officers, but these white ones. And I think that's why with the white supremacy community, they don't want it to be removed because they like seeing these police officers do this type of stuff too. So that's why they don't really want it to be removed. Family, I've been talking about this qualified immunity for a while in these spaces. Remember, I know reparation is one of our top issues, right? But I think I've been saying in these spaces, we still need to be focused on qualified immunity as a top issue too. Basically, family, it could be reparations 1A, 1B is going to be qualified immunity. They both top issues for our community. And so therefore, we need to be coming up with some legislation to send to all our different representatives. These coward black representatives that we're supposed to have representing us, we got to stay on their asses. Because they do supposed to be representing us since they supposed to be in the Congressional Black Caucus, right? We got to get on these folks' asses, like Maxine Waters, Jim Clyburn, whoever else up there that's been cooning, we got to get on their asses. So that means we got to flood the telephone. Qualified immunity is a top issue Black American family. Do you understand me? We can't put it on the back burner because I know everybody's been talking about reparations, but this is a very significant, important issue. So I want everybody to reach out to whoever you have in your state, your municipalities, your counties, your representatives, wherever they are. We got to stay on top of this issue. Qualified immunity needs to be removed. We're seeing too many police officers out here abusing the system. And they see it. The legislators see it. All the people in America have seen these videos on top of videos of these officers disobeying the very laws that have been put in place where they're supposed to be protecting and serving, and they're supposed to also obey the laws themselves. The legislators see it. So we got to stay on top of it. This is number one now. It's number 1B, along with reparations. Family, today, take time to sit down with your families. Take time to hug somebody that you love. Take time for your mental health, because these videos, of course, I know are traumatizing. I've been trying to find ways to deal with this ever since I saw the video last night, man. It just had me so angry to the point I wanted to pull out my gun to go do something. And that was to go to Memphis, of course. But with that being said, family, let's take some time for our mental health. Just know that we all going to get through this. We living in some trying times, but I want everybody to stay focused on what we need to do. We got to get legislation. Everybody, I want you to say that in your mind. Legislation for qualified immunity. That's very important. I'm going to land my plane there. Thank you, Newstoter. Ray, it's good to see you, brother. Sister Black Native, always. My brother Black Majority down there. Sister Bell. Sister Trouble. The original blood, but always good to see you, brother. And for everybody else in the space, man, everybody just take care and take care of each other.
Thank you, Professor. I appreciate that. Great as always. Always glad to hear you up in the space, sharing knowledge and dropping knowledge with us as well too. So, thank you, Professor. Original, I know you was having some issues. I'm gonna let Original, Aunt Lai, and Lloyd be the last speakers for the space. Like I say, it's my birthday, so I'm gonna be getting out doing some stuff today. So I'm gonna go ahead and I want to go ahead and have this space. I saw this happen last night, and I want to have this space. Just to touch up on it, just get the pulse of everybody. I know when everybody saw that, it was just kind of just made your stomach just drop when you saw that last night. It was hard to watch, man. It was hard to watch, and I don't particularly I'm not a person that's big on birthdays either way, but trying to go ahead and get into it. But just seeing this and talking about it today really kind of drains you a little bit as well too, with everything that's been going on as well too. So we go ahead and Judge, I'll let you come up and speak as well too. Thank you for the birthday wishes as well too. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, thanks, man. Yeah, and thank you, Professor. What I want to say is, in 2018, Congress, they passed the Protect and Serve Act of 2018. Basically, it gives police broader powers to kill us with impunity. The majority of the Congressional Black Caucus signed on to it, including John Lewis. I think Maxine didn't sign it, but that doesn't mean she hasn't done stuff to hurt us as well. She just decided not to sign on to this one. So I'm in agreement with Professor. We need to begin to write them, begin to communicate with them, write them letters, call their offices, and let them know that you do not like what's going on. They came together. They all passed. They all voted for an Asian hate crime bill, but damn it, they can't seem to do that for us. Now something's wrong with this picture, and we need to let them know. Stop tagging other people onto our pain and suffering.
No one in this country has suffered like us. We are, as Dr. Anderson said, we are unique. We are the only people that have that unique status in this country. No one else has it except for us. And so they need to understand that. And let me say, I'm trying to go through this real quick. Brother PJ, you asked about, why did they do this? Well, see, in California, this brother name, he changed his name to Diop Kamal, but his birth name is Don Jackson. He was exposing what was going on with the police in LA County. His father was a law enforcement officer. His father was pulled over, they beat the crap out of him, and then when his credentials fell out of his pocket, they were like, oh, we didn't know you was one of us. Oh, but hell, it doesn't matter. He is a human being. See, again, this is primarily targeted towards us, you see. And then the other part is that, what was said about being crumb. What's the brother name? Anyway, Ben Crump worked, I think it was Nate. Nate is right. Ben Crump worked for Tamir Rice's mother. Now, to say that he knows best, Tamir Rice's mother doesn't seem like a dumb person. She knows when she's being swindled to do something. So Ben Crump ain't on the up and up. Now, just because she gets all these judgments, now granted, yeah, the people can't come back. But at the same time, stop trying to swindle people, because oftentimes when they get these huge judgments, they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. They can't even talk about what happened. So how is that justice? Come on now, we got to be smarter than that. We got to be way smarter than that. And let me say this now, okay. And let me say, this is not meant to be divisive or anything. But our sister Jamaica, Jamaica, we don't have an issue. Technically, the majority of us, we don't have an issue even calling ourselves African. But see, here is where the issue comes in at. We, Black Americans, we have assisted the world, okay? But we have not received reciprocation from the world. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay, in Dallas, Texas, when Bolton John was murdered, it was Black Americans that stood up, put in that work. We assisted the family and everything. There were even some of us who was murdered behind assisting them, But see, what happened is his family, they started a foundation. And see, here is where it really hurts. They have a scholarship within this foundation. And in order to benefit from the scholarship, you have to be of Caribbean ancestry. See, that's not right. See, we came out and we expressed, we supported the family and everything. And it's not that we're trying to separate, other people are separated from us. And I'll give you another example. Now, back in the 90s, CARICOM, for reparation for people in the Caribbean, was developed. It did not include Black Americans. Now, from what I understand, I've heard scholars say that they would take, Black people to the Caribbean to break them before they brought them into the United States. But see, now we're not included with the CARICOM, but for some odd reason, people from the Caribbean and Africa feel that they should be included with our reparations claim, and they're not a descendant of the people who was enslaved in this country. See, we can't keep coming to everybody's rescue, and then when it's our time, they don't look at us. They're like, well, that's your problem. What y'all gonna do? That ain't got nothing to do with me. And we can't keep doing that. That's not fair to us. We don't have a problem uniting with anyone. But our issue is we've united with people, and then when it's time for us, they don't know us. I know a brother who lives in Florida, and he was trying to get the Haitians to work with him and do some stuff. They were like, nah, they didn't want anything to do with him. So when the white folks turned on the Haitians, who did they ran to their brother? See, we don't have a problem working with other people. For some odd reason, it's because there are some people from Black folks from around the world, they believe the propaganda that white people have given them about us, instead of coming to us and talking to us. So I'm like, we don't have an issue, but if there's going to be some uniting, there's got to be some reciprocation towards us, because we've done our part over and over again. continue to give and then sit back and then we're not receiving anything. It's like we're feeding everybody, and then it's like nobody chipped in. We got to go out and buy groceries again to feed ourselves. So that's all I'm saying is that we don't have an issue. It's not an issue with us. The issue has been is that the blacks from around the world tend to want to side with the dominant society and attack us, because we have put that work in over and over. And I'm gonna land with that.
Okay, we're not taking. I see we have a speaker trying to get up. We're not taking any more speakers at this point. We're gonna hit the last 3 of them up. We're gonna be pretty quick because, like I say, I have some stuff I need to go ahead and do today. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Aunt Lai. I'm gonna go to Lloyd, and then I'm gonna go to Judge Sarah. Those are gonna be our only speakers for the remaining of portion of the actual for the Volvo. You just put your hand up, right? I just said we're gonna be any more speakers after them. I just said that, man. But I'll go ahead because since you always up in here, I'll go ahead and let you go ahead. But it's going to be real quick, y'all. 2 minutes or under because I want to actually close this out at 3. So if you want to speak, Bovo, put your hand up. I'm going to give each speaker 2 minutes, and then we're going to be closing the space out for today. Before we get to that point, guys, like I say, if you can, make sure you subscribe to the actual YouTube channel and the actual newsletter that's in the Jumbotron. So we're trying to grow that YouTube channel. We're trying to grow the newsletter as well, too. Please subscribe to them. Subscribe to them. They are free. Also, if you can, support us on Cash App. That's $Newstoter. Once again, that is $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black curation platform in America today, the largest Black American-owned news curation platform. So if you can support us, if you support Black-owned business, then think about supporting us if you can. Also, you can support us on Venmo or PayPal. That's also in the Jumbotron as well, too. Venmo or PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. Once again, the Cash App is $Newstoter. Also, I put in there Miss Lisa. She had a link that I put in there about a sister who recently passed. They're trying to raise funds for her GoFundMe. That's also in the Jumbotron as well, too. I'm not sure if it's on the left-hand side because we added some extra stuff in there, but that's also in there. If not, I tweeted it out as well too. I'll tweet it out again later on. So if you can support that sister's GoFundMe as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead, Aunt Lai, let's keep it to 2 minutes or less, and we're going to go ahead and move it around.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, sister.
I did want to say this really quick. If Sister Jamaica Mocha, if you could contact me in the DMs. And I also wanted to bring up the fact that I don't know if you guys know this, that the police chief in Memphis was fired from Atlanta in 2008 for her alleged involvement in a sex crime investigation into the husband of Atlanta police sergeant. 2 detectives accused Davis of telling them not to investigate the sergeant who was married, the husband who was married to sergeant of the police department, and a federal jury later indicted him on child pornography. He pled guilty to 1 count of child pornography in 2009, and then when it was discovered, like why wasn't he charged or what happened with this internal investigation with the city, it was because she told them not to investigate it. Then she was demoted, and then she went to Memphis. So like I said, with the police, they covered themselves, they covered everything up, and people saying she Black, they got a Black woman there. So a couple of people said it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you Black but you don't understand the code that all Black people need to be on, whatever your profession is, then things like this will happen. And that's why I filed my lawsuit against the entire branch of government, because I saw what it was and I wasn't okay with selling my people out. But I did want to say, I don't know if you guys know that the police chief also has a history. As a Black woman, it saddens me to have to bring that up, but facts are facts. And I'll end my plane. Enjoy your birthday.
Thank you, Aunt Lai. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and kick it to Lloyd. Lloyd, let's do it in 2 minutes.
Hey, so thank you. First, I need to say I had 2 opportunities to say happy birthday, and I failed to do that. So now I'm doing it. 3rd time's charm.
Thank you.
I couldn't get off leave without talking about this Ben Crump thing. I think that we need to hold a space specifically on Ben Crump, because to the gentleman before, my mother always taught me, do not hire an attorney and then try and tell them how to practice law. So I get the emotion in it, and I get how he could say things and all that, but this man can get into spaces that you and I can't. And at some point, we have to trust that when he gets in that space, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to maneuver in ways that you and I don't. That's why you hire an attorney. So, and yes, he did work for, technically, Tamir's mother was his employer. However, I have to defer to his experience and knowledge. I just want to say one more thing, that we really need to hold a space on this, because yesterday Ben Crump said that people are calling him the Black Attorney General. So we need to decide if he is or if he isn't. But we need to have a real informed discussion about it. So I'm going to land there. Again, happy birthday, Toad. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Lloyd. And that sounds like a pretty good space that we can go ahead and get that cracking as well too. Judge Sarah, how you doing today?
Oh my goodness! Happy birthday, boy!
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna give you something on Cash App so you can treat yourself to a birthday drink or two. Okay? Let me get into this, and this is my heart is racing because this is always hard for me. I didn't watch the video. I have zero desire to see black men beat another black man to death. Like, seriously, it kills a piece of my soul to even see negative tweets, disparaging tweets amongst black men on this app. Regarding this issue, whenever you guys have been describing what you saw, and every time someone begins to describe it, I disconnect because I know I must be the gatekeepers of my thoughts. You guys, it's time that we stop acting defensively towards these anti-black acts. It's time that we act offensively. We must develop a black party of the people. We must form a thorough alliance amongst each other, then establish ourselves as the party of the people and leverage that power. I have no doubt that we can become the dominant society. And you guys, if you've heard me speak, I know y'all know, like, oh, she's so emotional because I see all these amazingly intelligent black people, tens of y'all, but we are caught up in the emotion. This is why we continue to lose, and this is why they do this to us, because we get stuck on the pain and the hurt. And it's very hard to think strategically when you are hurting. And again, it's time that we establish ourselves as the people. And I know sometimes it's hard to look at yourself and see how you participate in your own abuse family. And we have to start being really objective. And really quickly, Lloyd, what you said about Ben Crump, I think that is very important because I have a lot of criticism for Ben Crump. I don't want to get into this right now, but like you said, he's an attorney. And I always say this in this room, and I want y'all to understand the biggest offense is that America has broken their promise to black people under the 14th Amendment. I am not an attorney, but I know that. And Ben Crump addresses these issues in a way that it benefits him. He doesn't address the issue about us being black and about the offense of them not treating us equal in this country. And when he filed that lawsuit in Florida, that's the first time he did something about our blackness. It has to be about our blackness. The 14th Amendment was created for us to be equal. We are not equal in this country, and that is the biggest problem. And again, Newstoter, happy birthday, happy birthday. I'm a land there, y'all.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. And thank you for that tweet earlier today as well, too. This is not Volvo. Volvo, what's going on, man? Appreciate having you up in the space. You're going to be our last speaker for the day.
Oh, what's going on, my brother? Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my opinion, this should be a death penalty case. I hope I'm not being too insane, but I really do feel like that if you beat me with my hands tied behind my back, that's the purpose of putting my hands behind my back. I'm in a submissive position. I'm not a threat anymore. So if you beat me and kicking me and throwing haymakers and you laughing about it afterwards, I feel as though you should be put to death for that. And I'm gonna land there, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Volvo. I definitely appreciate having you in the space today. Unfortunately, y'all, like I said, this is it's just the beginning of the year, and this is an unfortunate incident. It didn't take time. We saw how quick this actually happened and went down, and how quick the police actually charged these people for this here. So we got to make sure that that's a precedent that's going to go forward. If we can go ahead and we can get them charged and fired and everything else that quick, that fast, that means that has to become the norm. This can't be the exception, you know. And if it does, then we need to go ahead and hold people. That's one thing we won't do. We won't hold them accountable. So we got to go ahead and start holding people feet to the fire and say, hey, you remember that case up there in Memphis with Tyre Nichols? How quick when they had those 5 black police officers, they charged them with multiple charges, fired them, kicked them right up out there, got them out of there, didn't waste any time. Well, yeah, we got to go ahead and we got to do this with the police brutality cases that's going on in Chicago and New York and LA and all throughout the country as well too. We also, Florida's showing you again with the actual laws and stuff they putting in place. If we can go ahead and we can start creating all these bills and stuff, whether on the local level or the federal level for specific groups, because in that article I read also, I talked about not only are they going to do this for the actual for the Jewish community, they also have bills that they're trying to set up for the LGBTQ to give them more protection, and also transgender. So we don't have a problem putting things together for particular groups. So we shouldn't have a problem doing it for black people. We're doing it on a federal level with the Asians community, and we're doing it we're doing it federally also for the LGBTQ and transgender as well, and we're doing it locally to make sure they're protected. So until we start holding the actual black politicians' feet to the fire, we're going to go ahead and they're going to keep getting ignored right here. So we got to go ahead and do this and start the actual Black Caucus. We got to go ahead and put them in their place. Original, I'm going to let you get 30 seconds real quick.
No, I wasn't trying to speak. My fingers are big and it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Happy birthday, by the way.
I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and let Ray, and then we're going to go ahead and we're closing this space out. You there, Ray?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I know just like everyone else, man. Happy birthday. Go enjoy your day. You only turned 25 once, so enjoy it.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that one. Well, y'all, thank y'all for joining us on this. Thank people. We getting ready to close the space out. I'm sorry that because we just about to get ready to close this out. I got some stuff I need to take care of. So thank you guys for coming into the space. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, you know, this was a topic today. We did this. We did a space on Tyre Nichols and Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman and the turkey leg hunt. If you guys missed that, make sure you catch it because it's recorded. We did that. If you don't know where to find it, then you can also go on YouTube as well and check out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel because we got over 100 and some odd videos on there, so you can always catch up on these spaces we record and upload. Some of them are just previous recorded videos, some of them are live streams. So go ahead and make sure you catch up on that as well. If you're not subscribed to the Newstoter YouTube channel and the actual newsletter, then you need to go ahead and make sure you subscribe to them. Like I said before, if you can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter. Also, make sure you guys, I sent out that tweet. If you can support the GoFundMe for the sister who died recently, please go ahead and support, even if it's $1 or $2, whatever you guys got. Please, if you can, do it. Until then, guys, we will see you Monday. There'll be no spaces tomorrow, so we'll see you Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the regular Newstoter Twitter Spaces. I look forward to seeing everybody that's up in here. If you're not following us, make sure you follow us, and we'll see you guys in. Be safe this weekend and take care of your family. And until then, everybody, we'll see you on Monday.